Welcome back everybody to another video. Today, I'm Coach Kyle for TeamCosmicBodies, and today someone asked me over my Instagram what I thought about intermittent fasting. Do I recommend it to my clients? I don't think I've done an intermittent fasting video on the team page, so I'm gonna answer that right now for you guys, and ladies and gents. So, intermittent fasting, do I suggest it? No, I don't suggest it. I guess that answers that question. No, I don't suggest it. There are pros and cons to it, and I think it definitely can work. So you gotta think about people's preferences. You gotta think about people's lifestyles. You gotta think about people's goals. I guess that's what comes to my mind is when someone asks me about intermittent fasting, I almost want to get to know them more. I'm like, well, what are you doing with your goals? Are you like a bodybuilder? Are you like some type of athlete with like specific goals, or are you just like general pop trying to lean out? Like, are you really busy at, crazy job, crazy family life or social life or whatever, and just like have a certain lifestyle, right? So I have to ask you what your goals are. What are the specific goals? What's your lifestyle? What's your preferences? What can you stick to, right? So that's the biggest thing when you talk about nutrition and diet and long-term success and whether you want to lose a lot of weight and fat and keep it off, or grow some muscle in the right areas and get leaner and just like have an all-around awesome physique. So intermittent fasting, for those of you who don't know, it's when you just eat in a certain window throughout the day. So you might fast in the morning and then eat later in the day during a certain period. I guess that would be the most popular, is that you wake up and like skip breakfast is like the mainstream idea behind intermittent fasting, is you skip breakfast and maybe even just have a snack for lunch, and then you get off work and you can eat 2,000 or 1,500 calories or 3,000 calories depending on if you're male or female or your metabolism and stuff like that. But you eat a big thing after getting off work, and maybe even work out fasted and then eat after. I don't know. People have all these different ways of doing it. I've heard a couple different ways of how people, some people like to eat a lot in the morning and then they kind of don't eat for the rest of the day. So intermittent fasting, you eat during a certain window of the day. You're not just eating like as soon as you get up and right before bed. So if you're an athlete, if you're a bodybuilder, I don't really suggest this, especially if you're cutting. If you're cutting macros and you're a leaner person, I think getting protein and protein bolus feedings throughout the day is going to be most optimal for recovery, gaining muscle, maintaining muscle. So yeah, I guess that's my big thing I think about is, hey, I want to get my muscle protein synthesis as in building, anabolic, I want to get that engaged. So I'm going to wake up in the morning, have a meal with protein in it, and then kind of have protein feedings throughout the day to keep my muscle protein synthesis engaged. I think this also can help nutrient timing wise for your performance in the gym, having some type of carbs in, and then the protein for recovery and keeping that muscle protein synthesis engaged. So again, thinking about maybe your mood and that preference and your performance. So are you gonna train better being fed and like having a little bit more food in you? Or also, is your mood gonna be like, are you a nasty person and irritable when you don't eat? Then maybe intermittent fasting isn't good for you, right? So really ask yourself about that and find what works for you. I don't think if you're a bodybuilder, you should be doing intermittent fasting where you don't eat all day and then you just have like 2 big meals or something like, or 1 big meal. Again, muscle protein synthesis, so better recovery, better performance, better mood for nutrient timing and appetite, and how irritability and stuff like that. I like to eat. So I guess those are why I think if you're bodybuilding, you shouldn't intermittent fast. It can still work, in a certain way, depending on your window. If you're a general pop client, if you really have a lot of body fat on you, I think you can get away with intermittent fasting for a lot longer and see unbelievable results. If you're a really busy person, if you don't have muscle building goals, or just like optimize muscle building goals, because you can still build muscle on intermittent fasting. It's kind of a preference thing at a certain point, right? I mean, what matters most is how many calories are coming in. So I don't think the intermittent fasting group is going to lose more body fat than the people that just eat a regular diet. So it's just about how many calories are coming in. So at this point, it's more of a preference on what you can stick to. So maybe try it out And if, it does take a little bit to get used to, if you're a really busy person throughout the day and you like to eat during certain parts of the window and it doesn't really affect your training too much, and you're not trying to optimize stuff as far as performance and recovery, then yeah, intermittent fasting would work great, especially if you're really overweight and have a lot of body fat to lose, and that might help your adherence. Oh my gosh, I only have 6 hours and I can eat 1,500 or 3,000 calories. It just closes that window, so you're skipping breakfast, so you have a lot more calories you can eat and feel really full. So that works well with some people. I think that's, so those are my pros and cons to intermittent fasting. And again, there can be a little bit different. Like, I think if you woke up in the morning and fasted for an hour or two and then had your meal, that's not technically intermittent fasting, and I think you'd be just fine even as a bodybuilder doing that, depending on when you train and, again, preferences on what you can stick to. So hopefully that was helpful as far as our thoughts on intermittent fasting. Let me know if you have any questions. Like this video, subscribe.